Vintage cars are like good cognac. With the years, they only become more valuable. This is not just metal on wheels, it is history, prestige, the character of an era, and the names that changed the world. Collectors spend tens of millions to get just one such legend into their garage. Today we will break down the top 10 rarest, most expensive and iconic cars, each of which is a separate chapter of global motorsport culture. And we'll start with a car that still drives all Ferrari fans crazy. Number 1. Ferrari F40, 1987. This is not just a supercar. This is the last car created during Enzo Ferrari's lifetime, a symbol of an era and his personal swan song. Released for the 40th anniversary of the brand, the F40 became the first production car to break the 320 km/h barrier, and its 0 to 100 km/h acceleration of 3.8 seconds still commands respect under the hood. 478 horsepower weight, less than a ton. A completely bare interior, carbon, a minimum of electronics. Everything emphasized the philosophy, speed above all. In the 80s, the Ferrari team began to lose ground to competitors on the track, and Enzo demanded a car that would prove the brand was still alive. That's exactly what happened. The F40 became the fastest, most expensive, and most aggressive production Ferrari of its time. Today, people pay several $1 million for it, and the prices keep rising. Number 2. Mercedes-Benz 540K, 1936. A true car of kings. Created in Germany in the 1930s, it became a status symbol of the European elite. It was driven by the rulers of Iran and Romania, Goebbels, and also the founder of Warner Brothers, Jack Warner. This car combined power, luxury, and insanely expensive technologies of its time. Only 32 units were produced, and one of them belonged to Baroness Gisela von Krieger. Her Mercedes stood forgotten for decades in an American garage, until in 2012 it was restored and sold at auction for $11.8 million. One of the most expensive Mercedes in history, the 540K is not just a car, it is an artifact of pre-war Europe, a symbol of status, power, and an era that will never return. Number 3. Bugatti Type 41 Royale, 1927 to 1933. The Bugatti Type 41 Royale is a car surrounded by legends. It was called Royal, not for effect. Ettore Bugatti truly planned to create a car for the 25 richest families in the world. But the Great Depression destroyed those plans. Only 6 units were ever produced, and each of them today is considered a national treasure. The price of the Royale was so enormous that buyers simply didn't exist. 2 finished cars remained with the Bugatti family. They stood unused in garages because the world was going through the worst economic crisis in history. One of the cars was even hidden from the Nazis during World War II by walling it up behind a sealed section of the family estate. In the 1980s, an exceptionally rare unit ended up in the hands of racing driver and millionaire Briggs Cunningham, and decades later it was sold at auction for $5.5 million. A record for that era. Today, the Royale is worth many times more. It is one of the most luxurious and rare automobiles ever created by humanity. Number 4. Mercedes-Benz 770, 1930 to 1943. The Mercedes-Benz 770 is a car that cannot be mentioned without historical context. It was a symbol of power, demonstration of strength, and propaganda of the Third Reich. The car was used by Emperor Hirohito of Japan, Pope Pius XI, King Leopold III of Belgium in exile, and Adolf Hitler himself. Huge, heavy, almost armored, the 770 perfectly matched the cult of gigantism that the Nazis tried to impose on the world. It became the most recognizable car in parades and archival footage of World War II. Today, only a few units have survived. Most were destroyed during the war, but one of the 7 cars used by Hitler survived and is now kept in the Canadian War Museum, one of the most controversial and heavily guarded exhibits in the museum. The Mercedes 770 is not just a rare car. It is a moving piece of history, a reminder of a time when engineering and ideology became dangerously intertwined. Number 5. Ford GT40 Gulf, the car that defeated Ferrari. There are cars that are fast, There are cars that are legendary, and then there is the Ford GT40 Gulf, the car that changed the history of world motorsport. The GT40 was born from a desire for revenge. When Enzo Ferrari refused to sell his company to Henry Ford II, Ford swore to humiliate Ferrari at the biggest race on the planet, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and he did. But the Gulf version became an icon. Its unique blue-orange livery, victories in 1968, participation in historic races, and even a role in cinema. One of the real GT40 Gulf cars was filmed in Le Mans, 1970, alongside Steve McQueen. For filming, the roof had to be cut off, but later the car was fully restored. The result? At an auction in Monterey, the GT40 Gulf was sold for $11 million, becoming the most expensive American car ever sold at auction. This is not just a car. It is a symbol of how one idea and one goal can rewrite the history of racing. Number 6. Ferrari 250 Testa Rossa, 1957. The holy grail of collectors. Even among Ferraris, there are special ones, and the 1957 Testa Rossa is exactly that. The name means redhead because of the bright red valve covers that became a signature of late 50s Ferrari engines. This was a roadster built to win, and it did it brilliantly. Only 22 units were produced, and each one is the target of collectors around the world. In 2011, one car sold for $16.4 million, another from for $12 million. The reason for such a huge difference is simple. The more expensive one was the factory prototype, the very first car of the entire series, incredibly rare and historically important. The Ferrari 250 Testarossa won key races of its era, shaping Ferrari's golden age. It combines aggression, beauty, and the spirit of Italian engineering, turning speed into a work of art. Today it is one of the most coveted cars of the 20th century, a symbol of an era that will never return. Number 7. Lamborghini Miura, the car that changed everything. There are cars that are fast, there are cars that are beautiful, and then there is the Lamborghini Miura, the car that literally created the concept of a supercar. Released in the late 60s, the Miura became a revolution: front trunk, rear engine, a crazy V12, a layout that flipped the market and forced the entire world to admit Lamborghini was not just a brand but the new king of speed power. 350 plus horsepower, top speed around 280 kilometers per hour. For the 1960s, it was insanity. But the story of one particular Miura was even more insane. The car sat in a garage for 25 years, completely covered in dust but in perfect condition. There was even a Rolling Stones cassette still inside the Concorde radio, as if the owner had just stepped out for cigarettes. After restoration, the car looked as if it had just rolled off the assembly line. The Miura is not just a Lamborghini. It is the car that changed the industry forever. Number 8. Bugatti. Type 57 SC Atlantic, the most expensive phantom in the automotive world. If the Miura is a revolution, then the Type 57 SC Atlantic is pure art, a car that has been considered the holy grail of collectors for almost a century. Created by Jean Bugatti, this 1936 supercar received a futuristic body with a fin divider, riveted panels, and an aggressive design that was decades ahead of its time. Only 4 cars were ever produced. One was destroyed by a train, one belongs to Ralph Lauren, a third is in a museum, and the 4th vanished. People still search for it, calling it the ghost car, and its potential value is estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But even the found ones are unbelievably expensive. In 2010, a Type 57 SC Atlantic sold for approximately $38 million, making it one of the most expensive cars in history. Engine: 210 horsepower, top speed 200 kilometers per hour. For 1936, it was technology from the future. The Atlantic is a car that looks like a piece of modern art, and yet was capable of outrunning half the cars of its era. Number 9. Ferrari 250 GTO, 1962. The most expensive car in auction history. If the collector's market were Olympus, the 250 GTO would be its goddess. This car is a standard, a legend, the absolute champion in both price and status. Ferrari produced only 36 units, Each hand-built, each with its own racing story, the model won the 1963 Tour de France and twice finished first at the Monza races. These victories turned the GTO into the holy grail of collectors, the loudest sales. $70 million, a private deal in 2018. At auction, $38,115,000. A record set by the car with chassis number 5111 GT candidates for purchase were personally approved by Enzo Ferrari, so that behind the wheel of the GTO sat not just a rich man, but someone worthy of the car. And today, the 250 GTO remains the symbol of an era when races were won by character, not electronics. Number 10. Ferrari 250 Testa Rossa. The final stroke of the Italian legend, the Testa Rossa, 1957, already appeared in our ranking. But here it's her older sister, the one that went under the hammer for more than $30 million. This roadster won everything possible: Le Mans, Sebring, Buenos Aires. The name translates as redhead because of the bright red valve covers that became Ferrari's signature touch of those years. The Testa Rossa is not just a sports car. It is the DNA of Italian racing culture, embodied in metal, sound, and speed. It is the kind of machine that sounds like a symphony, smells of fuel and history, and drives collectors insane with the desire to own it. Vintage cars are not about transport. They are about time, about eras you can touch with your hands, about people who but leave behind machines that outlive centuries. Ferrari, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Ford. All these brands created not just engineering, but symbols. Every car in this top list is history, struggle, art, money, passion, and the genius of engineers. Today, such cars cost tens of millions of dollars, but their real value lies in the fact that they remind us. There are things that do not age, there is beauty that cannot be recreated, and there is an engine sound louder than time itself.